Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, this 4 o'clock hour, thanks to Matt Rill for being a part of the show today. Coming up at 4:45, Craig Smoak's off the radar. At 5 o'clock today, David Hellman on the Cowboys draft. Doug Gottlieb, who told me in a text he sent to me earlier today that he actually got to know Nicki Collen when he was on a recruiting trip to Marquette when she was there. Also, Donnie Nelson. And you need to hear what he says about Baylor men's basketball and Freddie Gillespie at 5:30, John McClain. But we're now joined by Mack Rhoades, coming back from a vacation with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Vacation.
He didn't even chuckle.
No, of course he didn't.
So
I'm too tired to chuckle, but it was pretty good.
So what's been the reaction, Mac? What has been from those on campus? I know that Nicki is on campus, from those around your community and the athletic department and just overall around the country of people that you know.
You know, I don't really look at social media, and I haven't read an article. I couldn't even tell you how many have been written, if any. I do have a lot of friends and colleagues throughout the country, and all of their text messages to me, including ADs that have been at schools where Nicki's been at, have been phenomenal. It's actually taken me back a little bit, just how good of a person, how great of a coach, rock star, all of those things. The folks that I respect in terms of basketball, knowing basketball, X's and O's, they've been extremely, extremely positive. Just, in a very short time today on campus, introducing her to, the team, but also people that work with the team, coaches, other coaches. It's just been really, really positive. That's one of her gifts, in my opinion, is building, developing really strong relationships. And I know, within the athletic department, she's off to a great start.
Mac, how different is this than any coaching hire you've been a part of? Because we've talked about this the last few days in the show. In women's college basketball, Hall of Fame coaches don't leave. They retire normally. So what Coach Mulkey did was unusual. Did this make it different in replacing someone like that?
I mean, no, and nobody should read into that. It didn't. We have our process, and, we sit and say, here's what we're looking for, and let's continue to remind ourselves that throughout the process, and the way we identify candidates, the way we interview candidates, I think very, very consistent, as when we've done other coaching searches, head coaching searches. There was one element that we brought to these interviews that I had never done before, and I was jogging, probably 7 days ago, 10 days ago, and I was thinking about why wouldn't we have them do a mini coaches clinic and have them present some things on film, rather than ask them what's your offensive philosophy, what's your defensive. Let them show us and use film to do that. And so we had each of the candidates do that, offensive philosophy, both transition, half court, zone, defensive philosophy. What does a practice look like? And so that was unique, and we hadn't necessarily done that in any other searches. And I'm glad we did, because it was in my opinion, a better way to talk about those things, particularly scheme, and then also you got a sense of energy. on sideline, you got a sense of energy in practice.
Mack, when did Nicki Collen first get on your radar?
That's a great question, Craig, and I'm really trying to remember, and it was probably relative to some of the others later than maybe some of the others, but certainly before we began any of the in-person interview process. It started with probably a great hour conversation with her. When I hung up the phone with her, I was, wow, she's impressive. I need to know more, but man, she was really, really impressive.
Did you ever have to start over with the search?
No, never had to start over. Here's and this is really it's a tribute to, and I mean this sincerely. It's a tribute to Kim and the staff and all of the former players. It's a tribute to the current players. We had quality candidates, and we had really, really high character people. I was thinking about this on the plane this morning, leaving Atlanta to here. Like as a father of three daughters, if any one of them would have played women's basketball, I would have been happy, for them to play for any of the candidates that we interviewed. So it was really a great pool. Enjoyed it thoroughly. And I feel like we were spoiled in being able to select the best of the best. And one of the hardest things about this process is having to call the others that you didn't select and tell them no. And that was, to be candid, that was the hardest of the process, because just in that short time, and the interviews are really long, but in that short time, we try to do it where it's certainly much deeper than just the basketball piece, and you begin to form a relationship with all of them.
Is it even more difficult when you have someone like Bill Brock or Satia Messer, who you know very well, who are on staff, and have to tell them that it's not their job? And have you been able to, or have you heard anything about their future?
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about candidates, who was, who wasn't. I think you all know that I personally love them both. You talk about high quality human beings. You talk about two people that coach for the right reasons. It's never, ever about themselves. It's always about the players. I think their status, their future is in process. Nicki's world has been rocked. 36 hours ago or 24 hours ago, she was the head coach of a WNBA team, and she had great relationships with those players, and now everything has changed, and so she's drinking water through a fire hose, and trying to first and foremost establish relationships with current roster, with prospective student athletes that either signed or verbaled to come here. And then trying to work with staff. So, I think that will come together here in the upcoming days.
Mack, based on what you said before about it being hard to tell great candidates no, so is it easier? Not that you would want this, because then it would be a waste of your time. But if you had somebody that you interviewed and you're like, well, no, at least you don't have to tell them no or yes.
Say that again, Paul.
Would you rather have someone who just came in? You're like, well, that was bad. I'm glad I don't have to. That's not gonna be hard to tell them no.
Yeah, hopefully, Paul, you're not in that situation, and you've vetted it. To be honest with you, not since I've been at Baylor, but I've had a couple interviews where I absolutely said, yeah, we're done. You're not answering any of the questions that I'm asking you. You're not on point. We're done. Interview over. Thank goodness that hasn't happened in a while.
Mack, we've been able to see some behind-the-scenes photos, your media team kind of documenting her first day, seeing the locker room. What's that been like to see, her and her family, see all the facilities and obviously see the team for the first time, because I know that's one of the first things she did. How do you feel like all of that went, and is that pretty cool to see that part of the process?
Yeah, that's always Craig, it's always one of the fun parts, that initial introduction to team and then to see a new place and see facilities. And, I know that Nicki was really, really excited about it. Her first priority, before anything really was to meet with the team. And I think she did a great job with that. She'll have individual meetings. But it was cool to see all of that and just the energy and the excitement. And, you don't really know until you spend some time with people. You hear and you feel that family is most important. Faith is most important. And then, you see the family together on the plane. You see them as they're together when Nicki's introducing them to the team, and it all comes together, and it's exactly what we thought. It's a very close family. Family is first. Care about each other. Faith, relationship with Christ is the foundation. So that was all really, really cool to experience.
What does it say that someone would take this job knowing whose shoes they're filling? And that sometimes is unfair to say that because it's their own shoes now. But the standard that was set, and obviously you would not hire somebody that you didn't think was ready for that. But you mentioned this to us, somebody that is not going to hear the noise, somebody that understands where they're coming into and the standard of women's basketball at Baylor. What was, and we'll have a chance to visit with her tomorrow about this, but what does that say that she was not afraid of this job?
I think it's, Smoak, I think you earmarked, one of the things that we loved about it. There was no fear. And that is, shouldn't be taken as disrespect. She, has great reverence for what Kim has done here and knows that it's completely special. But she's got great confidence in her ability. And she's not going to try to be anybody but who she is. She's not going to try to coach like anybody. But how she knows how to coach and what she believes in. And by the way, she has an unbelievable basketball mind, but she has great confidence in who she is as a person and how she coaches, how she relates to players, how she develops players. And I don't know, you could just feel it. Tough act to follow, but I almost think she kind of flips that and says, "Man, what an unbelievable challenge! This is going to be a great opportunity."
Tom Herman, I believe, had not been a head coach. Obviously, Dave Aranda has not been a head coach. Matt Rhule was 28-23 at Temple, and now you have Nicki coming in, and she's been a head coach for 3 years. And I know the last couple of years have not gone well, and we had Chris Cienko on to kind of explain that along with Monique Billings, a player on the team now. Did that in any way come into play where you're like 3 years, losing record? What do you say to that?
So honestly, it came into play before we sat down and talked to her and spent, however much time we spent with her. Yeah. I mean, how can you not look at that? But as you sit down and you go through a coaching mini clinic and go through, philosophy, and you experience her energy and in her basketball mind, and you get a sense on how she is with players, student athletes, her ability to recruit, whether that's free agency, whether that's, college. It was a non-factor. And she's not going to make excuses, but there are some real uncontrollable reasons, as Chris probably explained to you, that second and third year with best player injury and, blowing out a knee, and, you even though that happened, it's still counted against the salary cap. So you really can't replace that person. And then COVID and again, not being able to replace. And so, no, the minute we sat down with her and like early on into the interview, it was, there's this, she can coach, she can run a program. She can lead people. So that dissipated almost immediately.
How much did former players help you in any way, if they did? I certainly received some texts, but we didn't try to go get opinion from, as the two former players on the Atlanta Dream. We didn't think that was fair to them, and certainly fair to Nicki. I mean, my sense was that they were going to have a positive opinion, different circumstances with each one of them. But there's been enough since we've hired Nicki from her former players. The love that they have for her, for two reasons. She's made them better people. She's challenged them. She's demanded them to be better, as best they can, personal best off the court. And she's demanded that they be better on the court. And all of them, talk about the player development piece. And she's well respected by players she has coached, and well respected just within the basketball industry. Well, we had one of them, Monique Billings, who's a part of the team. I know you mentioned that you didn't really get to them, but she said she wishes she had some more eligibility left so she could come down and play for Baylor. I want to bring up a current player. She's not the only one, but she's obviously a Player of the Year candidate, and also was a part of that this past season, and Alyssa Smith, who seems to me that she has taken on an incredible leadership role here during this transition. What are your thoughts about some of those who are here? Yes, there will be some that have either said they're going to leave or might, but the fact that she stood up and said, "Let's get to work," and we're not going to disappoint.
Well, one, I think the entire team. We met with them that Sunday night, and what is today, Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
So almost 9 days ago, and we told them that it would take, I thought, 7 to 10 days, and we took 8, and asked them to trust us and to hang together, stay together, and they did. They didn't have to, NCAA has made it very, very easy for them not to. But they hung in there, and thanked them for their trust, thanked them for their patience, thanked them for taking care of business, class, finals, all of those things. And, I think Alyssa, she's not only grown as a player, but she's grown as a leader. And, she's certainly one of them, not the only one, but has stepped up and I think has been an important piece in keeping people together. And, look, it's still early. They just met their head coach last night on Zoom, and then for the first time in person. And so that's a work in progress. But at least right now it seems to be in a really good place. And our team's excited to compete and learn and grow with Nicki as their leader.
Last thing for you, Mack, if you don't mind, is that you said 7 to 10 days, and here we are 9 days later. Because of players who have either committed, signed with Baylor, or those who wanted to transfer in with Baylor, or because of the fact the dead period started yesterday, did that ever play into trying to get this done, maybe even if you had to earlier, or you just had to make sure no matter how long it took, you got it right?
Yeah, I think the latter was the driver. That was probably 1A, and 1B was our current roster. And uncertainty is hard, change is hard, and just didn't want to do that to them. I mean, look, if we could have done it in 5 days, we would have. That was impossible. But again, I love those young ladies. They're incredible. Not just basketball players, but people. And I told them they deserve the very best leader. The very best leader of young women, somebody that was going to push them to do things they never thought they could do off the court, and then push them to be as good a players that they could possibly be. And for those that want to play at the next level, somebody that will absolutely show them and help them get there. And they deserve nothing less. And that's why we hired Nicki Collen.
Thanks for your time, Mack. I know you said you're too tired to even laugh. Have fun. Enjoy the night if you possibly can. We'll see you tomorrow. Get a chance to sit down with Nicki tomorrow for an interview. We'll have her on tomorrow at 3, and also I know the press conference at 2:30. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. And again, we'll repeat one of the quotes from Chris Cianco, the former Atlanta Dream general manager, that no player in the WNBA wanted to go play for Atlanta, and that she, when she arrived, was able to bring players in that otherwise would never have looked at playing for them, including a couple of trades they made as well. But that there were, like he mentioned Odyssey Sims, who was a blue chip free agent. And even though that hasn't been a very long relationship, that those things just didn't happen. And so the recruiting part of it, even though it's pro compared to college, we've discussed that as well. When we come back, Craig Smoak and Off the Radar also 254.